Hi, I'm Tommy.
And I'm Paul.
Welcome to our podcast, Dementia from the Inside Out. Hello and welcome to everyone around the world to our podcast, Dementia from the Inside Out. I'm Tommy Dunn and I'm living with Alzheimer's.
And I'm Paul Hitchmo. I'm also living with Alzheimer's.
And today we'd like to talk about the importance of personal stories in dementia care.
People living with dementia can teach us about dementia.
Now, storytelling is a great way to contribute to understanding and raising awareness in dementia.
Through storytelling, people living with dementia have a platform to communicate and share their memories.
Even if they're not based on fact, it gives them an opportunity to fully utilise their imagination.
With everything, the best way to learn about anything is for people who are experienced to explain it to you.
Storytelling enables us to create bonds and learn more about the person.
Regarding the foreword for the life story book, I truly believe that every person should start their own life story book right away.
After all, the person who knows you best is yourself, and it's so true that you can't judge a book by its cover.
Don't forget, a life story book can be made up with films and videos of the person's life.
And it can actually include footage of the type of work that the person living with dementia did.
So a life story acts as a fact file about the person with dementia, such as their background, interests, and who and what is important to them.
It can be shared with other people, including family and friends, carers and health professionals.
When writing a life story book, always involve the person with dementia as fully as possible.
This is to ensure that the life story reflects their personality, wishes and preferences.
Remember that the life story can remain live, so you can add to or change it over time to ensure it's up to date and relevant.
Yet the use of stories might contribute to maintenance of the person with dementia as a whole person rather than a demented patient.
People living with dementia or their families may have a fear of sharing the person's story, i.e. may not want their old school friends to know they have dementia.
Now, digital technology has no doubt radically changed the way we tell stories online and the potential impact it can have in raising awareness.
Everybody's story has a beginning, a middle, and eventually an end. And each of these stories is unique.
At the moment, I'm working off a cognitive reserve, a backup tank and inherited intelligence that will play on a loop in my brain for years to come.
But as these memories start to eventually wear out, it's important that they are reinforced by my memory book.
By sharing in the creative story experience, people living with dementia are no longer alone or isolated, and the life story books are a great conversation opener.
People living with dementia need to express ideas creatively in their own words without being edited or censored by others.
Helping someone with dementia to maintain the life story book to update can be very rewarding for all parties.
When living with dementia, it's common for people to become withdrawn, which can lead to isolation and depression.
The act of sitting down with someone and hearing their memories, telling a story or making one up altogether can help improve mood dramatically.
Stories help us explain the world, making sense of the insensible. When you tell your story, you learn that you are not alone.
Our whole life is just a story with a beginning, middle and end. For those of us with dementia, that story will end way before our final years.
If people know the real person, if you have to go into hospital or into care, you will not be a patient, you will be a person with a personality.
So the best way to learn about a particular type of dementia is from the person living with it, and from the carer's point of view, from the family carer.
A carer's life is hard enough, but if they can hear the experience of other carers, they would realise that they are not alone.
Now, throughout history, stories have been handed down from generation to generation, but unfortunately, the art of storytelling is being forgotten.
Storytelling is a part of life, intrinsic to most cultures. They help people make sense of the world, life's experiences, dilemmas and hardships.
I can still remember all the stories my mum told me about her life, and they still make me laugh now.
What better way for people to learn about dementia than to hear these real stories? It's the only way to truly understand it.
There are some great storybooks for young children to help them understand why grandma or granddad are not remembering or acting a bit strange.
We tell our stories to transform ourselves, to learn about our history and tell our experiences to transcend them.
We need to tell our stories to make a difference in our world, to broaden others' perspective and see further than the norm.
So stories can help people, whether they are people living with dementia or carers, see that there is a light at the end of a very dark tunnel.
Telling the story can provide the opportunity to gain a deeper understanding of one's experience and oneself.
People often do not recognise the benefit of telling or listening to the story, both for the person living with dementia, carer, and themselves.
Yeah, telling a story about your life experience involves physical and mental health and helps promote a feeling of well-being.
Society in general denies grief, avoids the emotion whenever possible, and expects those grieving to quickly deal with it and get over the loss.
Yeah, listening to a story of loss is difficult. It requires time to slow down and be with the painful emotions.
Good healthcare professionals listen to patient stories. Great ones listen for what is not being said, those subtle little clues.
Recovery from loss begins with telling the story, as the grieving person is able to voice their tale of grief verbally or in writing.
Many find solace in sharing their experience with others, knowing that they are not alone in their feelings of grief.
By telling our personal stories, we can inspire them and provide hope during dark times for ourselves and for others.
Storytelling helps you find your voice. There is nothing better than telling your story and someone else who cares listens and benefits from it.
And you can tell your story through writing, music, dance, visual arts, ritual, individually and collectively with our voices and with our bodies.
Telling your story can be especially powerful for people who do not always feel that they have the chance to help others.
We should realise that we are experts in our own lives and we have something to share with others.
Sharing your story allows others to connect to you and shows that you are not so different from them.
We are who we are. We have to use the cards we've been dealt. When you accept that, you become less serious about sharing your faults.
We want people to like us. We want to do well in life. We want to be valuable and we want to be happy.
For a person living with dementia to be able to express themselves through a story can help promote self-esteem.
Allowing them to feel valued and also have a sense of accomplishment.
Now, storytelling can be regarded as one of the oldest healing acts.
When you tell your story, you're leaving a legacy, who you are, what you are about. You're passing on some very valuable personal history.
Someone once said to me, would you prefer to take your own life if you got to the stage where you can't do anything for yourself? I said, there's many in this world would change places with me.
There's many people fighting every day to live. So why would you give up the precious gift of life?
With everything, the best way to learn about anything is for the people who will experience it to explain it to you.
Storytelling allows us to improve communication skills and encourage social interaction.
For those who may struggle to communicate and recall facts, storytelling gives them the opportunity to create fictional narratives without the frustration of having to remember the facts.
Sharing your story reminds us that deep down we all have the same fears, dreams, insecurities and worries.
And a person with living with dementia story is an important part of their identity as an individual.
And the telling of their story is an important part of feeling valued, connected and related to.
It's the same with a carer's story. Their story is an important part of their day-to-day life, and telling their story is an important part of their self-care, their therapy, and of feeling supported in what they do.
A person living with dementia is likely to fight to keep up the facade of normality and being in control.
They might do something such as making up a little story to fill the memory gap of something or someone that they can't remember.
Reminiscence means sharing life experiences, memories and stories from the past.
If people living with dementia are treated not as impaired patients defined by the disease, but as human beings, they can have their own voices back.
A voice which is too often silenced and discredited by many.
A person living with dementia is more able to recall things from many years ago than recent memories, so reminiscence draws on this strength.
So many of our conversations and interactions rely on short-term memory.
Reminiscence can give people with dementia a sense of competence and confidence through using a skill that they still have.
Storytelling removes the pressures for someone living with dementia to remember accurate facts which could ordinarily lead to frustration.
Did you know that you can provide feelings of comfort and safety to a loved one with dementia or other forms of memory loss simply by asking questions or discussing things about their past?
It's called reminiscence therapy, and it's easy and effective.
Reminiscence therapy is a non-pharmaceutical treatment that uses 5 senses: sight, touch, taste, smell and sound to help individuals remember events and people and more from their past.
Objects may also be used to help with recall. While reminiscence therapy is typically used to help people living with dementia, anyone can benefit from it.
Yeah, short-term memories commonly deteriorate first in those with dementia, creating upsetting moments and stress when something else cannot be remembered.
By stimulating long-term memories with reminiscence therapy, they are reminded of stories and experiences from the past.
Which may help people living with dementia become more relaxed and comforted.
So this may help people living with dementia to gain feelings of happiness and to enjoy the time together with you.
While having an opportunity to talk about memories of importance, and additionally it may provide relief from boredom and depression while preserving family stories for future generations.
So until next time, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye to me. So drop us a line